Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm here for another Monday this and that video where I talk about all kinds of different topics, leading you back to some old videos or answering questions that have come in the past week, or just giving you updates of what I got going on around here. So let's get to the topics of today, starting off with the turmeric. So I had a video come out in the prior week about why I pretty much stopped making capsules. I'm not saying I'll never make capsules or they don't have their place. It's just my own personal reasons. And there was one really important point I left out, but also another point that was brought up that gets brought up every so often. Not quite as frequently as it used to back when I shot a video on this very particular thing. And that was the thought that you absolutely had to take black pepper when you take turmeric in order to make it more bioavailable in the body. And while there's truth to that, there's so much more that is being left out that people assume that's the only way you can take turmeric to get the medicinal properties, when it's simply not true. In fact, there are so many things that can activate that curcumin that you can consume it with that I don't even worry about it when it comes to that. However, when I did make the turmeric capsules, as you see here, these are the ones, there's other ones in here. There, you'll see some kind of greenish ones. The two that are in here are the ones that I made specifically for dealing with different types of pain. And typically what we do is take one of each. I have a lot more of the turmeric capsules because of other things that I would use them for. Now, I did, in this case, put some black pepper in there, but you only need a little bit. And I also put ginger in there because ginger is also a good pain reliever. And the only reason I did that with the capsules is in case we're just taking them on an empty stomach and not taking them with food. But the great thing about turmeric is that when you combine it with foods that are already high in quercetin, you don't even need to think about that. In fact, simply just heating the turmeric, like if you're cooking with it at all, that's going to activate it and make it more bioavailable. Adding it to healthy fats, coconut oil, avocado oil, butter, beef tallow, that's going to help it be more bioavailable in the body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link to that old video I did a good number of years ago on turmeric and do you really need black pepper, where I list off all the many things that you can combine turmeric with, and then you'll realize, gosh, I really don't even need to worry about making sure I have black pepper, because here's the thing, not everybody can have black pepper. Some people are allergic to it or sensitive to it. So just know there are other ways you can take it. And again, this is one of those areas that just doing your own research on these things, you will learn more than just one little fact that is taken a little bit out of context. So with that said, I also want to talk more about capsules, because there's one point that I left out of that video of another reason why you're not going to see me doing a lot of capsule making. Now, making capsules on your own, if that's the best way for you or your pets or your children or whoever to take some specific herbs, and it's something that you're already growing, making them yourselves is going to be great, because you're already growing those herbs, powdering them up or whatever. Just like I do with my peppers now, my hot peppers, I powder those up. So if I didn't already just add that to a bunch of food and I felt like I needed it in capsule form, I could do that. And I would save money. However, when it comes down to things you don't grow, make sure you're doing the math on that. So one example would be, is that this company here called Real Mushrooms, I started buying their lion's mane powder. I don't get the turkey tail because we already have turkey tail around here. So I was buying their lion's mane powder. I was making lion's mane capsules specifically for Patrick. And then I thought, man, I hate making capsules so much. I assumed that was going to save me more money. That when I did a comparison of the price, especially when you buy the more bulk size of their capsules, I realized I was paying the same for the powder, just in a loose form, as I'd be paying for it already in capsule form. And I'm like, and that doesn't even include the cost of the capsules themselves. So in this case, I'm actually saving money as well as the extra hassle of making the capsules myself by buying them in capsule form. So make sure that, especially if you're looking at something you're not already growing, that you do the math on that. You might find that you're saving yourself time and money, or even if it ends up just being about the same cost or just a little bit more, then what is your time worth? So you might be saving yourself by simply just purchasing the capsules pre-made from a company that you trust and you know only uses the whole ingredients and doesn't add a bunch of fillers. So there's a lot you got to look into when it comes to purchasing capsules. And then another good example I want to share is this one right here that we learned about. This is the Swanson Lung Essentials. Now, the only herb that's not in this that I'm surprised, or actually two that I'm surprised weren't included in these capsules, are the mullein and the usnea. Well, I'm not too worried about that because we gather usnea from our other piece of property down the road, and I do grow mullein, and I still have a lot of dried mullein that I purchased before I was able to start growing it. So I just make tinctures out of that. However, if you're looking at something that is just excellent for any lung issues, it doesn't matter if you got some congestion just from a cold, if you're COPD or whatever your lung issues are, this has been excellent. It was recommended to us by a man in our fellowship, and everybody who takes it has, for any lung issue, has just sold on it. And he started doing that because his father was sold on it. He said it was the only thing that helped with whatever lung issue he was having. And so when I looked at the ingredients in this, it's a long list of herbs. It's all just herbs and roots. Most of them are going to be commonly used in Chinese medicine, like astragalus, licorice root, ginkgo biloba, and a great many others. So I'm going to go ahead and link to these down below, but I want to tell you what I did was the last time I purchased it, I bought the pack of 4. And so I saved about a good at least $15 a total by buying the pack of 4. And I'm not sure, you could probably look around, but I'd say start with the 1, see what you think if you've got any lung issues, and then look at possibly buying it more in bulk so you can save money. But with all the herbs that are in here, some of them I might grow or have on hand, but most of them I don't. I've tried growing licorice root many times. It won't grow for me. I don't have ginkgo biloba. I've tried growing astragalus a couple times as well, and it won't grow for me here either. But to me, it's worth it just to get it like this, and I've got all these great herbs in one capsule. And so I wanted to share that with you, and then just that little point of making sure you're doing the math and see if you're really saving any money by making the capsules yourself if you already have to purchase the herb or spice anyway to be able to take those capsules or take it in capsule form. And then with that said, I also wanted to go back to the whole research thing. I had somebody asking me a question. Well, I don't know how to do research. Where do you start? Well, there's a reason why I've done a couple of these videos over the years, and I'll be linking to the most recent one in the description box down below. Now that video is a few years old now, but the thing is, I still practice the same things in order to do my research. I don't rely on just one source. I mean, I might be able to tell you that, drax.com is a good place to look stuff up, but I wouldn't rely on that alone, and I never do. I mean, the thing I like about that, his webpage, the way it's set up when you're looking up specific herbs and whatever else, is the way he lays it out is very easy and simple to read and understand. And so people might prefer that, but I would never simply stop there. This is then where I also look at medical sites and other herbal based sites, and also the NIH. I'll specifically look things up on the nih.gov and compare all the information. And if you've got books, if you've got some good books, in fact, in that link, I do cover some of the books I already have on hand. And I wouldn't say there's just one book that's better than the other. And this is why I've done a few videos on this, is that, a lot of it's going to depend on you, your area. And I think it's a good idea to have a book, an herbal book that's laid out in like a dictionary format where everything's in alphabetical order to make it easy to find, and also one that do more extensive profiles on individual herbs and how to take and use them. So they're all going to have their benefits. Oh, and then don't forget the herbal books that are going to be more tailored to your general location. Getting the books, using your online sources as long as you have them, and combining all the information together is the best way to do it. But you got to do it. You got to be diligent. It can be hard work. It can take time. It can take weeks. It can take months to be able to find all the information that you're looking for in regards to a specific ailment or specific herb, etc. So it's work. I mean, I can do the best I can to teach you how to do the research, but you really just got to jump in and do it. I was really, sometimes I'm surprised that video doesn't get a lot more views, but I think the reason why is it's so much easier to just have people just give us the information rather than having to do the deep dive ourselves. And I get it. I mean, I'm the same way. It's really nice if I can just get a condensed version, just give me what I need to know. But the problem with that is if you depend on just one person or one source, they're either might be leaving out some really important information, or they might have some of their information wrong based on what they've learned, and maybe the source they got that information from was wrong. And this includes myself. Never just trust my videos alone. And this is why I also stay rather vague on certain things, like how much you should take and what's exactly perfect for you, because I'm not going to know that, and I would never make any such claims to know that. So again, each person has to take their own personal responsibility and do the research themselves. And this is why I try to give you the tools that cost you nothing, just the basic knowledge of how and where to start when it comes to doing your own research in the form of that video. Okay, and then another thing is that, yes, I'm still using my homemade fermentation starters to make my various breads. And so right here I have some flour and seeds soaking in my fermentation starter and water that I'm going to be turning into just regular bread later. But what I wanted to share with you, oh, and then back there you can see I've got another one started. That's a honeysuckle one. But I wanted to tell you that I did finally try making cinnamon rolls using this method, and was just very, very pleased with how they turned out. And in this case, what I did was I did the apple cinnamon rolls because, hey, it's fall and that's what just sounded best. And I had that apple peel powder I wanted to try out. I added the apple peel powder to the cinnamon sugar filling. I like to use brown sugar in that. And then when it came to the icing, I added apple peel powder to that along with vanilla. Now, the time I made it the first time, I actually used some cinnamon in the icing, which was also quite tasty. But I decided I wanted to do it a little bit differently this way. Besides, the cinnamon does, of course, turn the icing brown. And so you can't really see it. It doesn't stand out so well on the cinnamon rolls. But, you know, whatever. It still tastes great. So that was a nice, fun, tasty spin on your standard cinnamon rolls. Now, I did a Substack post. I've only done a few Substack posts. I keep meaning to get back to it, but I tend to forget I have that. I'm still quite new to it. But a while back, I did do a Substack post where I listed out a bunch of different ideas of different takes on your standard cinnamon rolls. And I think I also linked to some different videos in there as well. So I will link to that Substack post in particular in the description box down below if you'd like to get a few more ideas. I did chocolate peanut butter rolls. I've done raspberry rolls. What else did I do? Pumpkin spice rolls. It's just about being creative and just kind of winging it and coming up with whatever you want. I even did a tropical one. But yes, I'm really just been very happy with my fermentation starter bread and how well that's been working out. And it's been, I don't know how many months now that I stopped using dry yeast. I'm not saying I'm never going to use it, but I just want to keep working with this. I like the fact that it's virtually free. I know exactly what it's made from, what's in it. And it's just my own spin on bread making, where I'm not necessarily doing sourdough, but not also being dependent on dry yeast. As always, if you're interested in how I use my fermentation starter to make the bread, I'll link to that video I did in the description box down below. And the other thing I wanted to share with you is that my dandelion fermentation starter, this is something that I do every so often with my fermentation starters. Sometimes the fruit or the herbs or whatever in there kind of start to disintegrate and fall apart. And you know, you can still keep refreshing it and using it again and again. But a lot of times what I do, if I don't have, let's say dandelions aren't blooming right now, but I want to kind of beef that starter up again, I might strain out the dandelions, the herbs, whatever that's in there, just strain them all out, add something new to the liquid, and then go from there. So the dandelion fermentation starter, I am converting to a ginger fermentation starter. I haven't strained out all of the dandelions. I left some of the ones that are kind of staying together in there, but then just added some dry ginger to it. And that is actually what I use to make that batch of cinnamon rolls. So every so often I do like to refresh my fermentation starters, though you can keep them going for months, even years, if you don't forget about them, like stick them in your fridge or up somewhere and forget about them and they never get fed, they never get used, then eventually they just turn to wine. And usually by that point, they're not going to work as well as a fermentation starter, but you can use it for other things. Now, I have one more thing I want to just remind people of, because I get this question every so often, is you will see videos from time to time where you won't hear my standard greeting, and you might think I'm just leaving it out or being lazy or don't care anymore. And so I just want to explain quickly for those who don't understand. If you see me sitting there sitting at the table in the other room, and I'm facing the camera and the video just starts, it's because those video clips were taken from live shows that I then condensed down. Now, I haven't been doing live shows for quite a few weeks. I will be starting again, but when I do that, I might talk about 2 or 3 different main topics during a live show. And so then we get the fun of the live show while we're doing that. That's on my second channel, by the way, which is always linked in the description box. But then I can take that and take the individual topics and condense them down to shorter videos, add photos and video clips and maybe some clarifying points that I left out, cutting out a lot of the superfluous stuff unless I think it's funny and people might get the humor out of it. But the problem with that is, though I always start my live shows with that same greeting, it's not going to get into every video. So I just wanted people to understand that. And the same goes for the closing. You're going to only see one of those 2 or 3 videos that comes out of that has the closing or the intro to it. And there'll be some that have neither. And that's just the way it is. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my this and that for the week. Any thoughts, ideas, or questions, please put those in comments down below. And don't forget, if you're new, to subscribe, to like the videos. That helps boost us in the algorithms to get us back out there again. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.